Welcome, my name is Jocelyn and today is the start of a new project pan. This is the start of a brand new project pan to my channel. I have never done one of these before, so we'll see how well it works out for me. It's always very fun to start a new project pan. We are almost to the end of January in the year of 2020 and I currently only have one project pan going on. It is a big group project pan. If you'd like to check that out, I will leave the intro down below so you can check it out. But today is a start to I think pan those eyeshadows. Project pan is what I want to call this. Basically, I'm letting Google choose which eyeshadows from my collection I get to pan through the year of 2020. This will be a rolling project pan. Maybe we'll see if I even am able to hit pan on the shadows that are chosen for me. I did spend quite a bit of time putting all of my eyeshadow palettes into an Excel spreadsheet so that I had a way to make this work. So here I'll kind of show you, these are all of the palettes that I have and then all of the shadows from each of those palettes. I started with my Urban Decay Naked palettes and then went into Too Faced palettes, ABH palettes, Huda, Dose of Colors, Ofra, Kaleidos, Natasha Denona, ColourPop. All of my eyeshadow palettes are represented in this list. You will notice that there are some grayed out shadows in here. Those are shadows I have absolutely no interest in panning ever. A lot of them are super dark or just a little too vibrant. Most of them I just don't like, so I don't want to pan them. That's not the point of these project pans. The point is to use things that I know and love, not to use things that I don't like using. So I did gray out some of them, not all of them, because I kind of got the idea halfway through doing this and then forgot to go back. So if a shadow gets chosen that I do not have any interest in panning, I'll just random number generate another shadow. Okay, so I think that I want to choose 5 shadows. Well, I'm not choosing, Google is choosing, but I think that I want Google to random number generate 5 different shadows from my collection. I'll pull those palettes out, swatch them, and then kind of just share with you which ones I will be panning. My goal, I think, is to hit pan on all of these shadows, and I think I want to do monthly updates. So whenever this video goes up, I want to do an update this time next month. Hopefully that will keep me on track. I don't do the best with updates like this, or at the beginning of the year I do really good and then as the year goes on I do a little less good. So we'll see. I'm really excited. I haven't done a pan those eyeshadows ever. I've done year-long project pans with palettes and I've panned eyeshadows in various project pans. All right, let me pull up Google's random number generator. We got a minimum of 2 because my list starts on row 2 and then I have 400. Actually, I did take out one palette which I put at the end, which was the Dose of Colors Celestial Thunder. I haven't used that palette yet, so I don't want to try and hit pan on any of those shadows. So I have a total of 454 individual pans in all of my eyeshadow palettes, but we're gonna go ahead and start at 443. That'll be the last eligible shade. And again, I do have some in here that are grayed out that I will not be trying to pan. Okay, so here is my random number generator. Let's generate the first shade. This is shade 268. Let me go ahead and write it down so that I don't forget. I'm not going to tell you yet which shade, but I will tell you which palette. Okay, all right. So the first shade that we pulled is a shade out of the Storybook Cosmetics Wizardry and Witchcraft palette. So I'll tell you which shade specifically in a moment, but I did check and see, and I think this will be a doable shade. Okay, so that is our first shade. So next we have 289. Is that the same palette? Nope, but that is a grayed out shade. So let's try again. 164. Ooh. All right, 164. I have written it down. I'm going to pull the palette out. So the palette that shade number 164 lies in is the Huda Beauty Desert Dusk palette. So we've pulled that out. I will show you which shade in a moment. Let's generate a third shade. Generate 350. This is a ColourPop palette, and this is an older palette in my collection, so that's very exciting. The ColourPop palette that this shade lies in is the Give It To Me Straight palette. All right, okay, cool. All right, let's choose our 4th shade. Ooh, okay, another ColourPop palette. All right, so the 4th shade is coming out of the ColourPop X's and O's palette. This is kind of new to my collection. I got this at the end of summer last year. This is what the inside looks like. So the 4th shade is coming out of here, and we have 1 shade left. So let's see what we get. 272. Nope, we need to choose another one. That one is from a palette that I've already chosen, and I want to do different palettes. 298. 298 is another ColourPop palette. Shade 298 is coming out of the ColourPop and Disney collection. It's a Princess Thing palette. Okay, so I have my 5 palettes right here. We have the Storybook Cosmetics, Wizardry and Witchcraft, the Huda Beauty Desert Dusk palette, and then 3 ColourPop palettes. So we have the ColourPop Give It To Me Straight, X's and O's, and the Disney palette. I actually only have 2 other ColourPop palettes, so the majority of my ColourPop palettes were chosen for this, and the majority of my shadows from this project were chosen from ColourPop palettes, which is, what are the odds of that? That is insane. Okay, so let me share with you the exact shades, the first of which was out of the Wizardry and Witchcraft palette. I'll go ahead and swatch them. So it was shade 268, which is the shade Bewitched out of the Storybook Cosmetics palette. This is what the palette looks like, and the shade Bewitched is this gold shade right there, which is a very wearable shade, so that is nice. Let me give it a swatch for you. Yeah, that's a really pretty shade. That'll be really easy to use, so that'll be nice. All right, and then shade 164 came out of the Huda Beauty Desert Dusk, and it is the shade Cashmere, which is a really, really pretty shade out of the Huda Beauty palette. Another very wearable shade. It is this shade down here in the corner. It's kind of a silver, but it's like a taupey silver. Let's give it a swatch. All right, so there is that shade. Easy for everyday work week, which is nice. All right, so those are our first 2 shades. Now we're dipping into ColourPop territory. The first is 350, which is out of the Give It To Me Straight, and it is the shade Straight Up, which is this color in the top row. Everything out of here is pretty wearable. I don't think I blocked out any colors in here, but the shade Straight Up is one that I've used before, but not too much. It is another shimmer shade, a little bit darker than the other 2, which is nice. So there it is right there. That's a really, really pretty shade. All of them are light shimmers though, which is really interesting. Okay, so that's the shade Straight Up. Next we have 313, which is out of the X's and O's palette, and it's the shade 20 something. This is another gold shade. This is kind of a chunky shade though. It is this shade right here in the X's and O's palette. You can kind of see the shift right there. It's a really chunky gold color. It'll be interesting to try and use this or hit pan on this. I want to be careful because it's, again, kind of chunky. Let me see if I can get a better swatch of that. I'm hoping that with maybe a glitter primer or a setting spray, this will show up better on the eyes, but it does look, I mean, it looks okay in that swatch, I think. I mean, look at this color story. What is going on here? Maybe this project is just trying to make sure that I'll be successful. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, so those are our first 4 shades, and the last shade is coming out of, it's a Princess Thing palette, and it is the shade Juju. This is our only matte shade that we have pulled. All of the rest of them are shimmers, and Juju is actually a shade that I have not used that much from this palette. It is this light pink shade up here. Yep, just a light pink matte shade. That's it. So let me give it a swatch. This actually blends really nice. It's really light, but it does look like it's gonna perform really, really well on the eye. So there are all of my shades. How interesting. So we have the Wizardry and Witchcraft palette, Huda Beauty, Give It To Me Straight, X's and O's, and then the Princess Thing. So 3 ColourPops, Huda Beauty, and Wizardry and Witchcraft. All right, so those are all of my shades. I showed you them. I'll make sure to take pictures of them so I can insert update photos in my next update video. These palettes will stay on my vanity, and I will be using them for the next month and using them until I hit pan on them, which is exciting. I'll probably pull pull a few other palettes occasionally in my Shop My Stash videos to use, but I think that I'm gonna try and focus on these. I'll probably use other shades from these palettes to incorporate into looks, but I think that these are gonna be pretty easy to use up and hit pan on, I think. A lot of them are very, very full, like the Wizardry and Witchcraft one. Yep, very, very full. Lots of product left in that one. Same with the It's a Princess thing. I've barely used that matte shade. This Give It To Me Straight shade, I have used this a handful of times. So, I mean, and then X's and O's, I have kind of used this one. This one's a little chunkier, as I mentioned, so it might be a little easier to hit pan on. I guess we'll see. And then Cashmere out of the Huda Beauty palette. God, like all of these are just so full. There's a little bit of a dip in that one, but not much. So we'll have to see. If you want to keep up with this project pan and my other project pans, definitely consider subscribing before you go. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. All of those buttons are down below. And I think that's everything I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.